The views and opinions expressed by this program's hosts, guests, listeners, and viewers are solely the views and opinions of the original source who expresses them. They do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of TV5 Network Incorporated, its subsidiaries and affiliates, and their respective stockholders, directors, officers, and employees.
Sounding off from Los Angeles, the undisputed king of podcasting, who's all about the good times, Mo Twister. Representing New York City, a social media monster and co-creator of the Not Bill Walton Twitter feed, Chris Savage. All the way from Sydney, Australia, a basketball media veteran and unapologetic cultural critic, Bradford Graham. Holding it down from Manila, a seasoned sportscaster with the studio skills to pay the bills, Gino Rufino. This is Full Court Report.
All right, welcome to the Full Court Report. It is a Monday night, and we changed the schedule of our show so we can go ahead and give you an episode minutes after Game 5, which just ended here. So let's get to it. We are three guys in three different parts of the world. No Gino Rufino tonight. He took a swipe at our ball sack, so he got suspended for today's episode, very much like Draymond did. So it's myself in Las Vegas.
Too many flagrants for Gino.
That's right. We have Chris in New York City and, of course, Bradford Graham in Sydney, Australia. Chris, I'll throw it to you first. 12 minutes, first quarter. Let's do it.
Cool. Well, Game 5 is in the books, and the Cavs live to fight another day with a 112-97 victory over Dubs. The series is now going back to Cleveland for Game 6, which after Game 4, which we'll get to, a lot of people didn't think that was going to happen. Well, the Cavs went out there and they impressed, and it was from their two-headed monster today that made it happen. The first time in NBA Finals history that two teammates scored more than 40 points in a game. Both LeBron and Kyrie went for 41. LeBron, just to go over his monster stat line, and as Isaiah Thomas used to say about Shaq, LeBron brought his gangster game, 41 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks, and 3 steals. And speaking of Isaiah Thomas, Kyrie Irving was a baby Isaiah Thomas today, 41.6 assists on 24 shots. He put on a clinic. He was unbelievable on offense. They say, well, he's not a great defensive player. His great defensive contribution is when he just tires everyone out on offense, which he did tonight. So, guys, what's your take on tonight's game? Big win for Cleveland. What do you got?
Massive win. Listen, I just want to throw this question out to you guys, and then, Brad, I'll go out there for you. But Kyrie or LeBron, man, who had the more impressive game? I'm going to side with Kyrie, 17 for 24, 41 points, and just like, welcome to the finals, buddy. It was big. I think big statement game for him, is even though LeBron had that sexy stat line.
I'll say it was LeBron just because he set the tone earlier, but, I mean, you can't go wrong either way. Brad, what about you?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, Mo, what's interesting about Kyrie, I think he needed to have this game. I think after the absolute stinker, I mean, he put a big, turd in the punch bowl in Game 4. And then this one, he needed this more than anything. I think he needed this not only to sort of make the series sort of continue and give the sort of Cavaliers, I guess, a fighting chance to sort of push it to a 7th game, but just for his own legacy purposes. I mean, if he had another stinker in this one on the road and Steph Curry kind of embarrassed them, I think LeBron would be looking at whether it's worth keeping Kyrie around for next season. So,
but you mean stinker on a defensive way, right? Because clearly, offensively, he was fantastic. He was fantastic offensively.
Game 4, he was awful. And when I say awful, I mean Kyrie Irving was literally playing for himself. He forced the issue every time, wasn't looking for teammates, was jacking up shots, kept dribbling into the lane, trying to sort of expect calls, try to sort of make, shots that you just don't make against this Warriors team. He just thought he was the man and thought it was going to be easy. And when it wasn't, he just kept playing like it was a playground, like there was nothing on the line.
So, Brad, you're saying it's one of those deceiving games where stat line looked good at the end of the day, but he just didn't make anyone around
14
him
for 28.
play better?
Look,
shot better than Steph.
I watched games 4 and 5. I have watched with detail like I haven't watched basketball for some time, and I did it for the specific reasons of finding out where exactly are these Cavs going wrong. After losing game 4 at home, I was really sort of disappointed with the kind of sort of heart they displayed. The style of points they were getting. The one sort of my turn, your turn. Like basically in game 4, I saw the Cavs being the worst version of the OKC Thunder, which is, hey man, I'm just going to go out and get mine, and if we win, great, and if we don't, well, it doesn't matter because I'm still a star in the eyes of most people. And then in game 5, the dual 41-point nights, man, did the Cavaliers sort of put those sort of demons to bed and remind everybody that when firing on all cylinders, when aggressive, we're not settling, we're not playing passive. These Cavaliers do deserve to be here. They were in the finals last year for a reason. They're in the finals this year for a reason. And LeBron really did, I think, sort of, play a good game. Not the greatest LeBron game we've seen, but definitely enough to sort of make everybody sit up and go, hang on, man, these Cavs, there's something there if they know how to harness it. And I think the big thing for me, the takeaway from game 5 versus game 4, was essentially their shot discipline, when and how they shot the ball. LeBron and Kyrie made a lot of their sort of long twos, which sort of opened up the driving lanes. But I'm still not seeing, Kyrie was great again, got some calls. Both teams got, some really odd sort of refereeing decisions go their way. But yeah, I think this really sort of breathed new life into it. But every time this happens, I think to myself, why do these teams wait for their backs to be against the wall before they show up? You're supposed to sort of lead from the front, and Cavs are good at doing that, rather than saying, look, it's either win or go home, so now we're going to show up. So where the hell have you been for 3 games?
They're also facing other NBA competition, and another big takeaway is Draymond wasn't there. They couldn't switch on the pick and roll every time. The heart and soul wasn't there, and that was a big difference too, and you saw it tonight. Mo, I know you watch this team in detail, and Draymond is someone who's a big impact player, and some could argue that he's the MVP of the team at times. What was your takeaway of Draymond off the court today?
I mean, clearly, the loss of Draymond is where I pin this loss of Golden State. I don't think Cleveland showed up. I think they took advantage of the situation, which is the second best defender is not in the NBA is not there. The best defender on this team and offensive facilitator not there. Of course, you're going to have to win this game with your back on the wall. Now, LeBron brings it in elimination games. He's the best in NBA history. When the back is against the wall, though he loses a lot of them, but he in fact individually is there. 32 points per game in elimination games, best in NBA history, better that tonight with the 41-16. So I mean, Kevin Love was nowhere to be found, but guess what? No problem, because Kevin Love, 2 points? 3 rebounds? 30 in 32 minutes?
Where is the love? Where is the love?
I mean, it's just mad. You cannot get away with a game like that and expect to beat the Warriors unless Draymond is not in that front court. I'm sorry?
Right, but isn't this how they stole that one game? They've won 2 in the series now, and both times they've beaten Golden State. It's because Kyrie Irving and LeBron James do just about everything at both ends of the floor. Now, I still think Kyrie Irving is getting exposed at the defensive end, and he's still embarrassing at a lot of times when he doesn't switch, he doesn't talk, and he basically just sort of moves around the court as if to say, hey, it doesn't matter if we don't score, if I don't stop my man, because I'll get mine at the other end. Now, lucky for him, that happened tonight, but he's got to be really careful. I mean, he keeps chasing around Steph, and then he sort of takes his foot off the accelerator, in little patches or on certain plays, and he gets exposed almost every time. And to counter that,
but he's lucky though that Steph isn't playing as we've seen Steph all year long. So
can we speak about that too?
And I'm sure we will, because we got a lot of time. But again, while Kyrie looks awful defensively, he's getting saved a little bit because Steph has looked awful throughout the finals and shot bad again tonight.
His defense is tolerable because he's had another 30-point night, where the defense isn't. Like Kevin Love is basically costing his team, the chance to compete now. Like Richard Jefferson, God bless Richard Jefferson, playing sort of, well beyond, the 10-year version, 10 years younger than he actually is right now. It's like he's back in the Nets days. I mean, Jefferson's a much more reliable player now. He's attacking the hoop. He's better on defense. Like Kevin Love, for him to sort of put up 5 shots in 30 minutes and just sort of not really do anything, what did he get? 3 rebounds? I mean, 3 rebounds in 30 minutes from, a guy. Insane. It's again, to me, it speaks to the whole, Does he just not have the heart for it? Now, he's going to cop criticism because it's easy to blame him for any sort of deficiencies they have. But when he's out there and he's not guarding anybody, but then he's not commanding the ball in the post and he's not getting easy scores and he's not putting the pressure on the other team, it just magnifies what he's not doing defensively. And that's why I think Kyrie can be forgiven for any lapses, because at least Kyrie is getting the ball in the hoop at the other end, even if he is over dribbling and
aggressively.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, contest. Yeah, he's doing a lot of. I mean, Kyrie Irving tonight had the kind of performance we thought Steph would have, especially in Oakland. So it's been an interesting sort of between the two of them. I mean, I don't know if Kyrie can guard Steph any more than Steph can guard Kyrie. So it's kind of a nice little back and forth between them, even though they don't necessarily always guard each other. But maybe that's it. Maybe, the point guard that scores more, even though neither of them is really a point guard. I think you mentioned this at the Draymond Green segment. I mean, if Draymond's their best shot creator, their best playmaker, it seems like they're going to be relying a lot more on this sort of, different style of Warrior ball than we're used to. But I think the Warriors can get it done. I mean, I think, again, like at home, this was a case of the Warriors let one slip. And look, it took two guys to score 40 on them for them to lose this. So
sure,
in the same way,
as we said, there's no bench, no bench help out of Cleveland in Game 4 or 5, a loss and a win. So there's nothing there. Clearly, this championship, if it's going to come to Cleveland, finally, it's going to be on the backs of LeBron. And now, welcome again, Kyrie to that conversation.
Well, that's possible. That could be possible.
Are they going to be able to pull it off when you get Draymond Green back? Now, Bogut going down, it looked bad. He doesn't look like he's going to be
very
ready.
Bad.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's going to be ready for the next game. Maybe not even for the rest of the series. How is that going to affect Golden State? But they're gonna get Draymond back. So great there. Right. Let's see what happens.
We spoke about Draymond. We spoke about Game 4. We know the incident where LeBron stepped over Draymond. There was a little bit of contact after that, which, by the way, now LeBron might have the most famous step over in NBA Finals history if they end up winning this with some momentum swinging their way. Instead of Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue, that could be pushed to the the Go figure. Sure. Little irony
that's
with
right.
Lue.
You're right, Chris. If there's a team that knows something about step overs, it's got to be the Cavs, right? I mean, their head coach has been the guy that's, this is some weird sort of symbolic way of the Cavs paying back the league for the embarrassment Tyronn Lue faced, 10 years earlier, or 15 years earlier. But sure. If the Cavs can somehow rally from 3-1 down, if the Cavs can manage to do, the 2016 miracle and take down these Warriors, it'll all come back to that Draymond Green suspension. But the thing that I like most is the fact that this has now become a series. The Cavs look more competitive. Yes. Now we're getting the finals we were promised. Now we're getting an actual sort of tug of war between, what essentially is a sensational backcourt, and all credit goes to the Splash Brothers for hitting those 17 threes and creating a new finals record in Game 4, versus this sort of, LeBron Kyrie sort of tandem in Cleveland, where
they are really games with records. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think both offenses have now shown what their sort of true sort of ceiling is. And this is now going to make it a super interesting Game 6 in Cleveland, because I don't think there are guarantees anymore. I thought the Warriors were going to take care of business in 5. That's not obviously the case anymore. And this could get pushed to 7. I think the momentum is now back with Cleveland.
I'm going to disagree. I had this going 7 with the Warriors. I think the Warriors are going to go into Cleveland pissed. And I think it ends there, just because you get your defensive guy back, you get your big heart back of the team, and it's no F around time anymore. Like, going to 7 is dangerous for Golden State, even though they're going to be at home. I think they come in there really pissed off. Cleaning it up.
Anything goes. I get it.
I wish I could be in a room. If the Warriors win Game 6, I wish I could be in the room with you to watch your favorite team win.
Might be.
Oh wait, I just might be.
You might be. That's right. So again. I think momentum doesn't necessarily swing to the Cleveland here, even though they come up with a big win, just because in the minds of the Warrior, in the minds of the Warrior team, we didn't have our second best guy. And if they didn't have Kyrie, or if they didn't, something like that, there's a big issue. Absolutely.
So,
I think it does.
First of all, we've got to get out of here. But just to end this first quarter, go out on a hot take. Best 3 Warriors this series.
Oh, I mean, it's
Draymond,
Clay, Draymond, and
Iggy. Maybe
Ooh.
Iggy, Livingston.
Iggy 3.
Yeah,
Steph, not the top three. Steph, not the top three.
It's unprecedented, Brad.
Wow.
We'll talk about that.
Which I'll bring up a statement then in the second quarter regarding Steph not being the MVP guy. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. When we come back. Yeah, when we come back, we have more of the full court report. 3 of us tonight only, but, we'll still put a good show on. Don't go away.
Welcome to the initial episode of No Holds Barred with the Dean, Chinito Hanson. We ask the questions, you get the answers.
Did you feel rough that you didn't get the Best Import award?
Our Best Import.
If you were the commissioner of the PBA for a day, what would be the first thing you'd do?
I'm not telling you nothing.
Tell us, Leland, last November, when Samboy, your husband, suffered cardiac arrest, what was your feeling? How are you able to cope? And what kind of magnitude of expenses are you facing?
It's not good.
Welcome back to the Full Court Report. It is quarter number 2. I'll go ahead and take point guard duties here. Let's put 12 minutes on the clock, and let's continue to talk about this NBA Finals. Again, one of the big names that always needs to be brought up aside from LeBron is, of course, Steph Curry. Steph with another subpar shooting game, 5 for 14 from three-point land tonight, 8 for 21 overall. He finished with 25, 7, and 4. Had 3 blocks, but no big deal. Yeah, sorry. Whatever. Right? Yeah.
NBD.
Not really. Yeah. I don't want to say Steph has looked awful, but I guess
I think you just did,
what we expect.
I think
well,
let's use that soundbite.
I don't want to mean it.
I don't want to mean
that he's
looked
awful.
What do you mean? This is your guy, Mo.
Awful.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, what's your big opinion on this? If you have a truth serum, I mean, what's your thoughts on him? Not just in this finals, but in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it really is just the play. Again, shit. Honestly, the moment I say injured, you guys kill me, right? And I'm going to try to I'm going to try and find. Now, again, read an article. Here I go again. LA Daily News came out, earlier today. Steph reportedly met with an orthopedist in Southern California. MRI showed he might need surgery on both shoulders as well as his knees. Again, these things have not been confirmed by Steph. I don't think he ever will. I don't think the Warriors will as well, unless the season is over. Maybe this is the reason why he backs out again from the USA team. Maybe he's exhausted. I mean, he played into late June last year, playing into late June again this year. There might be all of these things could play a factor. We don't know. But yes, you're right. He has not looked good throughout the playoffs and in a big moment like this.
Well, I won't kill you on the injury side of it. This is what I'll say. Just watching this team throughout the playoffs, and Steph, from a numbers standpoint, and he was great this season. He deserved MVP. His numbers were the best, and he was on the best team in the league. But there's quite obvious that LeBron is way more important to his team, that the Cavs are cooked without great contributions from LeBron. Whereas if Steph is not the best player out there, not even the top 2 or 3 best players out there, the Warriors still have a great chance to win every game. That's why I still feel that LeBron's the best player in the world.
And Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but that's not Steph's fault. We're not saying that Steph should be blamed that his supporting cast is better, because LeBron built his supporting cast. Steph didn't get a say in his. LeBron picks the players he wanted, and LeBron built this team as if he was going to be competing year in and year out, and one of the guys he wanted, whether it was Miami, whether it's Cleveland. I mean, LeBron's support cast, a lot of it is LeBron's doing. So, criticism of Steph here isn't that his supporting cast is better, because he's got the cushion or the luxury, however you want to phrase it, so that Steph can have a bad shooting night and the Warriors can still win. The difference is...
And remember, I mean, the other players... Sorry, I cut you off. Shoot, my bad. Go finish it. But the thing is, listen, Steph is always going to be a threat. You have the best shooter in NBA. So his teammates are better in this series, but a lot of that still has to do with that you have to play aggressive.
There's no 73 wins. There's no they
were beating him down in Game 4. You saw the exchange between LeBron and Steph. You see the rough play they have on him, which is great. If I was coaching against him, I would say be tough on him, because clearly if he's hurt, he's going to get hurt more. If he's not hurt, it clearly is bothering him. So I think, though, as we criticize both the superstars and LeBron and Steph, if LeBron loses in the next game and does not bring the title, doesn't his legacy the one that hurts? It's like, wait a minute, LeBron, you lost again in the finals to an MVP who was nowhere to be found in the entire friggin' series, and you lost again?
No,
you're the first MVP to lose 5 NBA finals ever. Again, so while the criticism, a lot of fingers can be pointed at Steph, the fact that they got there up 3-1 to LeBron and his mega team, up 3-1, and Steph is nowhere to be found, just, again, screams also not just how good the Warriors are, but really how overrated LeBron is.
But that's crucifying LeBron in a way for essentially the deficiencies around him. Now, LeBron has showed up these finals like he did last year, and LeBron will always show up in these series, whereas Steph not showing up, Mo, actually, like I've said before on this show, if Golden State wins it all, it helps their legacy as one of the all-time greatest teams. But Steph not showing up like he hasn't again, and it's not like he's not getting the looks he wants. The ball's just not dropping at the frequency it did. So I give credit to Steph for fighting. I mean, he's out there, he's competing. I mean, Steph's getting great steals, and LeBron's, basically LeBron looks scared when he's posting up Steph because he knows Steph's going to, if he turns, Steph's just going to swipe it away, and then he's going to start a fast break. And the fact that the Warriors have more weapons, again, doesn't take away from their ability to win as a collective. But what we're used to seeing, Mo, and this is where the narrative, the NBA Finals narrative plays a part, is usually the best player on the team puts the team on his back, says, give me the ball, I'm going to get us points, I'm going to get to the line, I'm going to influence the outcome, which is what we're used to seeing, and which is what we've seen for the last 30, 40 years of the NBA. Which is why the Steph thing is troubling. It's not because he's not great. We all know how magical Steph can be and how one flick of the wrist can change the series. It's that he hasn't been able to sustain excellence in these finals. And that's both the credit to the Warriors and a little bit of a discredit to Steph, because we're not used to seeing the best performer on the court, the best player in the NBA, according to the accolades, sort of playing out this way. Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Tim Duncan. These guys would just not let, these guys and their coaches wouldn't let this happen. But this is where the Warriors as a team get more credit. It's because they've built this team of, 5 guys, all 6'7" and above, who are so interchangeable and so good all over the floor that they cover up for any time Steph doesn't have a great performance. Now, in the game before this, part of that 17 sort of 3-point makes and, the record-setting night, Steph's on fire. Steph's doing everything, dribbling in and out of sort of double teams, hitting guys on passes. He looks incredible, and he's just basically able to take the air out of the tires of Cleveland without even meaning to, just because he's Steph Curry and because back-to-back threes just basically makes Cleveland have to sort of look in the mirror and figure out who they really are. So Steph is, as long as Steph is on the floor, he's obviously able to swing the series. But playing 40 minutes and only hitting 8 of 21 shots and sort of not hitting the 3-ball, when his 3-ball isn't dropping, he's just not able physically. He's just not able because of his size and everything else. He's not able to have the impact that LeBron is or other greats of the game are when, they get to the line, they get rebounds, they do other things for their team. Now, this all comes down to one thing, Mo. Steph's not actually the point guard of this team. He's not playing point guard. He's running off a lot of screens. And that's where Steph's getting banged around. It's not, if they just gave the ball to Steph and cleared it out at the top, Steph would get to the line every time. But the Warriors run a certain kind of offense, which means that Steph's coming off 2 or 3 screens. That's why Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, and all these guys are hitting you with elbows and knees and all sorts of sort of plays that I watch it going, man, it must be hard being Steph out there because
they're kicking his ass out there.
He's not getting any calls, but in the finals, the referees are swallowing their whistles. Surprisingly, they go through little patches where the refs call every little every little reach, every little tap. And then they go through other plays or other sets where, Steph comes off 3 screens, gets knocked down twice. Clay gets, tangled up. The jersey's getting grabbed, no whistle. And so the inconsistencies of the refereeing, and maybe that's where Steph and these Warriors sort of were so successful, is the refs called the game a certain way in the regular season. They benefited from that. Now in the finals, they're not getting those calls because it's not that the fouls are any tougher or any lesser or any harder or any more consistent. It's just that the game's being called a different way, and the Warriors have had to adjust. And the way they've adjusted is their other guys have stepped up and helped pick up Steph Curry because of what he means to them. And he can get going in a moment's
Brad,
notice.
you mentioned last episode that because of Steph's performance and the way the Warriors are performing, kind of not without him, but not having his top game, that actually helps their legacy out a little better. And I agree with you. I think their legacy as a team now, it jumps up and is heightened now because of how deep they are.
Let's give a little love to Klay freaking Thompson, because that
Seriously.
guy, I mean, wow. I mean, these last two games, I mean, yes, he's the 3-point shootout champion. I mean, I actually had the question after tonight's game, is Klay Thompson actually the better shooter? I mean, in these finals, he has
better
been.
right now.
Obviously, he's, I mean, that's the thing. Obviously,
better.
he's not. He didn't
What a
make the
luxury,
400 threes. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think, we're sort of not giving enough credit to them as a backcourt. And it's the thing that maybe these Warriors are closer to the bad boy Pistons, where, yes, they have Isaiah Thomas or Steph Curry, who is their sort of, most consistent or best offensive or most talented player. Right. But, Rodman being the role of Draymond Green, their Iguodala being the role of Lambeer. Like, it's this thing where they just win as a team. And this back-to-back sort of title run that they're going on, should they win it all this year, I think we have to sort of consider them more like those Pistons, where they're powered by a point guard, but they're not governed by him. Whereas these Cavaliers feel closer to sort of, Jordan's Bulls or Kobe's, Lakers, where they have this perimeter star that's just larger than life, and therefore they rely on him to a larger extent. But Steph has been,
do any of you
Steph's
guys
been fascinating to watch. He's been fascinating to watch,
right?
Because he's not making threes and not impacting the game in the other ways.
Right, and I've loved how, again, Klay has gotten a lot of the respect, and in fact, he's responded with a little bit more personality, right? I mean, you see him again dropping the quotes. Did it again the other night regarding the LeBron, feelings being hurt thing with the Draymond stuff. So again, it's nice to see Klay step up to the limelight that the NBA Finals bring. But do you guys get kind of worried that when the 3-point ball is not falling for this team, they look like they kind of pulled the plug early on their chance in these games come playoff time?
Every game.
They didn't do this in the regular season, though. In the regular season, they're down by 20. They're like, we'll come back. In the playoffs, they're down by 15. They look like they're mailing it in. And boy, what a bad time to mail it in.
When they've gotten down, they have not fought. And you saw it again today when Kyrie just started taking over, put on his clinic. There was no fight left. There was no fight. So that makes me very nervous, especially when it's important to win a road game in Cleveland. Now, Mo, if they go out and they play mad and they get to a lead, it's going to be an easy victory, or at least they'll coast and hold on to the lead. If they fall behind on the road, guess what? They're in trouble. And as we know, anything can happen in a Game 7. Anything can happen.
Sure.
And that can be one of those situations as well.
Absolutely.
Your point about them not having any fight in Game 5, I think that at the end of the game, only down by 12 or 15, we've seen them come back from bigger deficits. That's where Draymond Green was missed. Green usually gets fired up. That's where he comes into play, and that was where it was noticeable because their rotations were out tonight. Bogut getting hurt affected things, and I think that's where the Kerr mix, or what they used to doing, sort of couldn't function effectively, was because Draymond was missed for that 3 minutes in the fourth quarter, or that's where their sort of rotations were messed up a little bit. Maybe guys were more tired because they had to overcompensate for the first 36 minutes because Draymond wasn't there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely see that again. But during the regular season, this was a team that was streaky good, never really streaky bad. Now they're just streaky bad here in the playoffs, that when they get through a little bit of a funk, it's almost like, you know what, screw it. We'll get them next time.
You know what?
Harrison
What
Barnes,
happened with the
awful
loss
shooting
today? From
Again,
a legacy standpoint, Mo, the loss today, they now cannot have the greatest winning percentage of all time because of default. Though they won more games than the 96 Bulls, they also throughout the playoffs now lost more as well than those Bulls teams did, and they're going to miss out on at least that. But they already have the most wins of all time.
Sure. All right, we got to get out of here. We got a halftime show coming up. Plus, I guess in real time right now for us as we tape this, Kyrie Irving and LeBron James are about to take the post game media room. And
Podium game.
You said that Kyrie Irving has the sexiest voice.
He has a nice deep voice, very white style.
So I'm going to take a break, put the volume up on this. And I want to hear this. I want to hear this accent you're talking about. Is there a little hint of an Australian in there or no? Nothing, right, Brad? Not a chance. All right. We'll take a break when we come back. If not, we would, what's a poppy? What do you call it?
Tall poppy syndrome?
Tall poppy syndrome?
So, yeah, I'm going to tall poppy this guy. All right. Don't go away. Back up to this.
He has made viewers laugh with his funny antics and awesome style in comedy. He has also been in quite a few headlines himself. Well, funny man Arnel Ignacio loves good times too. Curious if he has funny secrets he'd like to spill? Then head on to www.tv5.com.ph/originals and watch Good Times with Mo. Thursday, 9 p.m. on Digital 5. Call us on our hotline, also on Viber and Skype.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Full Court Report. It's the halftime segment now. And again, like we do every time we have this podcast, we're going to divert away from the hardwood talk and get into one of my favorite topics, which is reboots. I know it's a contentious point for some people because they love them. Some people hate them. And really, I don't care where you stand on the matter because we're going to spend the next 5 minutes talking about it. So, whether it's the Batman reboot, Batman Begins came out 2005, obviously rejuvenated that franchise, whether it was J.J. Abrams and Star Trek. Some people feel the Casino Royale and Daniel Craig's James Bond was a nice little reboot, injecting some new life into that series. But really, the thing that I wanted to talk about, first of all, here is something Mo and I are both big fans of, and that is the Voltron reboot. Welcome back.
Welcome back, Lions. I missed you so much. In fact, I got to be honest here. I was teary-eyed. I mean, really, like maybe a little bit more than teary-eyed when I was watching the first episode earlier today, the hour-long one. Of course, this is on Netflix, and oh God, thank you, Voltron, for coming back.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the show get this, I guess, new lease of life. I guess there's a whole generation that either don't even know what Voltron is, think it's some sort of, weird sort of Voldemort, Harry Potter sort of style of bad guy, or maybe, think it's some sort of, weird, obscure Japanese show. But big hit in the early 80s and then sort of went on to some infamy. Again, Astro Boy got rebooted. Now it's Voltron's turn. But yeah, really amazing, really funny, super slick animation. Even if you're not a fan of cartoons, I still think this is worth sort of checking out. Lots of humor, surprisingly, very funny, very funny,
yeah, really funny,
and quite, quite cool. If you've got kids or nephews, nieces, whatever, sit down, use them as the excuse to watch it. I don't really care. But so Mo, okay, Voltron aside, any favorite reboots, past, present, TV movies? What have you got?
Wow. It's just because so much of my mind is taken up by Voltron that I can't think of an answer to my favorite reboot. You brought up Star Trek. I'm enjoying the Star Trek, the new ones. There's another one coming out, I think, later this year. But here's one I want to see, and I know I'm sorry if I'm going off topic because I hear that it's coming out, and we don't know when they're going to start shooting. Okay. Maybe you can give me some insight on when this movie's going to come out. When the hell is Top Gear coming out again?
Top Gun?
I mean, Top Gun. I'm sorry, Top Gun. When is Top Gun coming out? Sorry, I was thinking about the TV show. When is Top Gun? Yeah, I hear about it all the time. When is Top Gun coming out again?
Oh, I would love to see that.
I think that would be freaking crazy.
I'm not speculation. I read two different things. One of them says it's a reboot. One of them says it's a sequel. So I'm not sure where they're going to go with that, whether it's in script development hell or what. But yeah, I guess Top Gun. I mean, maybe they could. But the problem I have with that, Mo, is what's it going to be about now? Drones? Like, do anyone still fly?
I think you just hit the nail on the head.
Maybe it could be the battle of the guy, like a retiring Tom Cruise. Maverick's going away and he's pissed off because the drones are taking over. And then all of a sudden there's a and then there's a little hint of Terminator kicks in where the drones take over, and then he's gonna have to battle them. Hell yeah.
Speaking of that 80s stuff, Roadhouse is getting a reboot, and I love the original Roadhouse. It's my favorite bad movie of all time. It might be the greatest bad movie of all time. I love Roadhouse. It's so bad it can't be. It's great, and they are going to do a remake of it. So I'm interested to see how that goes.
Yeah, no, you can't go wrong with Roadhouse. Look, again, Point Break gets remade. One of the more excellent remakes, and I really can't recommend this enough, is the Evil Dead remake. Took Sam Raimi's original horror classic
that's right.
and gave it a fresh lease of life. That remake, man, not only is it terrifying, but its finale is just unbelievable. It really has to be seen to be believed. So check out Evil Dead if you're listening to this and you're looking for something to watch this weekend. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I guess, I really liked Man of Steel. I thought that that was a sort of...
Wow, that's...
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like this Batman
v Superman
weird sort of sequel, whatever that's supposed to be, set up a Justice League. I don't care. But as far as sort of the reimagining of a sort of the Superman sort of fable, I thought that was great. Again, I really don't think you can go wrong with Batman Begins. I think that was sort of a nice, way to sort of re-energize that franchise, now a billion-dollar industry.
I think they messed up the new Spider-Man series, though, Brad. I think they keep on going to the long origin story, and it didn't work out with Andrew Garfield. And now they added him to the new Avenger movie, or Captain America: Civil War. And I did like what I saw for that one.
Well, I think we should maybe, because again, that's such a rabbit hole. These comic book movies and these franchises and the reboots and these studios now are so creatively bankrupt that they just keep going back to that same well, hoping that they can sort of generate new money out of, what's essentially an established name. So, again, I mean, we talked about this a little bit to sort of set up this topic, and we can get to it now if you really want to in the final 30 seconds, and that is whether or not Star Wars Episode 7 is a reboot or essentially a sequel. So,
and you can throw in Rocky and Creed to it also,
there you go.
Bro.
What are they? Are they
the
lines?
To me, they're both homages, obviously, but they're very close to reboots, as close as they can come without actually being them. But if you watch them, you might think otherwise, because they really have the spirit of reboots.
Well, again, this new Independence Day movie tiptoes the line too. This Independence Day Resurgence or whatever it's called. I don't know if you guys seen the trailer for this, but 20 years later, the aliens are back, and it's like, yeah, but they're back doing the exact same thing. Didn't they learn anything? Anyways,
when you're retelling the same story, then it's reboot, right? And then so maybe that puts Star Wars in the
code words now. Though they say things like reimagining, and they say like other things that it's not a reboot, it's not a sequel, it's not a this,
whatever
it's not a that.
They have to do to get money.
No, wait, we got to get ahead, but Jurassic Park, that was a reboot. Yes, the new one, that was for sure.
Well,
reboot.
Not really, because it's a sequel and it's a reboot. It's like they want to sort of take a property that's
both.
established.
That's how they get our dollar, Mo. That's how I get our dollar.
Yeah.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's like Kobe Bryant is the Michael Jordan reboot of the NBA.
Fair enough, but he wasn't right at the same time. Yeah, no, I get it.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, second half of our show, it's Full Court Report. Back after this.
A Sports5.ph original web show.
My name is Dominic Uy, and this is my buddy Kevin Limhoco.
We are going to be testing products to their nth degree, to their limits.
Cars.
How many car makers are not equipped with power steering?
Gadgets.
You feel the value of that watch.
And everything in between.
I don't like to pamper myself except in a restaurant.
This is the web show for the modern man.
Oh, let's go!
Nth degree. Catch it exclusively on Sports5.ph.
All right, welcome back to the Full Court Report. It is third quarter time, and Brad in Sydney is going to take over. Brad, you got 12 minutes. All you, man.
Thanks, Mo. This finals, I think, is starting to turn into something that's quite fascinating for the reasons that there is now a battle going on off the court. I love the fact that these two teams, after seeing each other in last year's finals, again, seeing each other in this year's finals, have started to get a little snippy with each other. Started to sort of throw out some quotes, guys sort of going back and forth, whether it's via the media or whether it's on Twitter, whatever the case may be. These teams are kind of gonna get under each other's skin sooner rather than later, as we saw words exchanged between LeBron and Draymond, Clay coming out in response, these guys sort of, Andrew Bogut jumping to Kevin Love's defense, which I thought was really nice after the concussion protocol. I think these guys, again, as much as they're peers and as much as they're competitors, there's this weird sort of shared respect for one another, but at the same time, there are huge bragging rights and egos at play. And these finals, I think, have come to extra life because of that exchange of words.
Hell yeah.
Do you guys have any favorite quotes from the finals so far? I mean, has there been anything that sort of stood out from what's being said or exchanged between these two teams, whether it's from one of the wives or from one of the players?
Well, I think the one that sticks out the most for me, and because it was the biggest story, it got Draymond to get knocked out of Game 5 here. Charles Barkley brought it up. All these guys brought it up. But the one person that kind of made me most go, wow, really, was Kevin Love. Kevin Love, when asked about the stepping over move, said, well, you don't see too much of it, but yeah, I think it looked like a form of disrespect. Dude, that's Kevin Love.
Yeah.
That's kind of wild to me that, hey,
you didn't defend your own
teammate. Yeah, I mean, you could have said, it was heat of the moment. He could have tripped over. You could have invented some BS. But to say, it looked like a form of disrespect. against your own teammate is what's wild to me, and that's going to alienate Kevin Love even more.
Maybe LeBron was practicing that. Maybe he was knocking down Kevin Love in practice and continually stepping over him and saying, "You stay down." So maybe it was one of these things that LeBron had it. What was it called? Sort of predetermined or something. Like. I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, that is a weird thing. Usually these guys are kind of quite defensive of one another and protect each other to the sort of hill. So that was weird. But I guess, calling it objectively, I saw LeBron step over Draymond in real time, and I thought, man, that could have been avoided. I mean, first of all, LeBron didn't have to step over him. And then once he did, Draymond didn't have to react in the way he did and try to headbutt him in the groin. I thought that they were both at fault, and I'm glad the sort of NBA did something. But I think LeBron could have just as easily received sort of more of a penalty than he did for instigating essentially that sort of instance. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the exchange of words, maybe LeBron's not going to find Kevin Love anymore in the corner for those threes because, he's not being.
That's why he only got 5 shots.
I thought it was a cerebral move by LeBron. It was a cerebral move by LeBron. If we have to slice it down, it's like when someone's in foul trouble, you're going to try to exploit that guy. LeBron, everyone thinks he's a basketball genius, and I think in his head he saw an opportunity, he took that opportunity. And
now, is it cerebral? Right. Is it a smart move or is it a puss move? Because
why? He's LeBron.
Well, I'll tell you why.
Is it a pussy move? Probably.
Yeah, it's a puss move because the other guys in the league are going to give you crap for it. Matt Barnes, of course, you can always rely on him for a crazy tweet. But he went out and said
crap for everything. What is he?
Yeah, true, right. But I mean, again, he's going to get retweeted 7,000, 20,000 times or whatever. Right. He said it was bullshit. He said, I'll read it right now. LeBron knows goddamn well he didn't need to step over that man like that, and he called it out as bullshit. And of course,
and it worked.
It worked, and it's right, and it put them back into this series again. So, is it smart or is it just LeBron?
You know it's smart.
You know it's a little bit of a pussy.
Yes, it was both. It was smart and a puss move. But guess what? He went for the smart pussy move. So what?
Sure.
It's like the guy who walks away, even though he walked into a fight. It's like the guy who walks away from a fight and looks like a pussy. Well, he's not going to jail or he's not getting scraped up or face bashed in. Well, this is a little different. It's the same in that regard that LeBron knows that this guy was one foul away from one type of incident like that away from a suspension, and they need someone like Draymond for the heart and soul of the team, and it worked out. And he also had to know in the back of his head, I'm LeBron James. Are they really going to come hard on me?
But don't you go, I'm LeBron James. If I'm going to win a title, if I'm going to win even a game, I'm going to win it like a freaking man. I'm not going to do it like this.
You take what you have to take to win the title.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that.
Why not? It's not like he's cheated.
It's just because when you're LeBron and everything gets dissected and your legacy is going to be dissected, all of these things, if you want to win a title, you're going to win it not because of stuff like this.
You're going to win if they win.
That's a very good point. Yeah, well, that's a good one. And we'll see. Yeah, go. Sorry, Brad.
No, I was just going to say that LeBron stepping over him and basically doing something that, the referees maybe should have called or should have sort of done something. I mean, yes, LeBron is a little protected. We all know this. I mean, this is the way the NBA referees and officiates, these games, these players, these stars, and the greatest play of Michael Jordan's career was an offensive foul on Byron Russell. He pushed him off with his hand so he could get space to hit a jump shot. When it comes down to the players on this stage, the NBA essentially stands back and says they're both grown men, go out there and see what happens. And so, yes, LeBron probably, goaded him into it or whatever, basically knew that Draymond was fiery and knew that Draymond was susceptible to these sorts of things, and he didn't step over him and try to get a reaction out of him and got exactly the reaction he was after. And again, 100%. Got Draymond suspended as a result. Now, is that smart or is that, taking the easy option or is that sort of being dirty or it's not me to judge any of these things because maybe it is, but I wasn't there, and I don't know what words, Mo.
It's all those things.
Changed.
And so what?
Yeah, maybe it is. And maybe
sometimes
it is. And
being
so what?
dirty is a smart thing. Sometimes being a pussy is a smart thing.
Any advantage for these guys is basically they're going to take every advantage they can get. And, we see it all the time. It's not like this is the first time Draymond got a call against him or got a call in his favor. Draymond being the heart and soul of this team, you want to rip the heart out. You don't want them to have a chance to come back and beat you. LeBron's lost too many of these, and he's probably lost them the right way by trying to play straight up basketball. He knows that that's not the way to win these things, that you've got to sort of get every little advantage, every little inch you can, and he took what he thought was probably probably
is,
an opening.
Right.
Words,
But
the exchange of words, though, the name calling and the trash talking and all that stuff that maybe led to this is what I find more interesting. Like whether LeBron was too sensitive to an exchange of words prior to this that led to him acting out in this way, or whether this was part of some preordained, some premeditated sort of action.
Don't you have other guys on the team? I didn't play in organized sports, so I could be completely wrong. But don't you have other guys on the team to do this kind of puss work for you and not your leader? I mean, like, yeah, you're right. You know, listen, again, I'm not completely disagreeing with you. I'm more throwing it out there so we can have a healthy conversation about it. I mean, I understand you want to take every competitive advantage you can, and you don't want to waste out on opportunities like this. But
if you're the, and again, use your baseball analogy, if you're the pitcher and you've got a red hot hitter on the mound, are you going to basically throw at him, or are you going to let him try to hit you out of the ballpark? You know, like it's one of those things that you've got to use the tools that you have.
Who has to do it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't. My point is, sometimes these guys resort to things that seem out of character, but they do so because the competitive advantage at the time seems justified. You know, like should LeBron have done it? Probably not, but he did. And Draymond Green got like it fell in the Cavs' favor. Now we're going to game 6.
Did everything happen at that moment, or was there even a little bit of, oh, look at me after the game, I'm LeBron, remember who I am, NBA, and go punish that man? See, so it's not easy. So that makes it even more puss because it's not. It's no longer. It's no longer something that happened at that moment on the court. But there's some political bullshit at the end of the game.
Mo, what's your premise here? That it was pussy? Fine, yes. Was it a little dirty? Fine, yes. Was it smart? Yes, it's still smart. Should he have done it? To me, the answer is yes. Are you saying he shouldn't have done it because it's going to hurt his legacy because it makes him look like a pussy and he's going to get dissected more? Is that what you're trying to say? Because no one dissects him more as it is.
I think what it is if I were LeBron and I'm bigger than life and I'm this monstrous beastly of a man, if I'm going to win this title, I'm going to win it without having shit like this. Like, I'm going to win it against a healthy, full
so you'd rather have him lose it like last year when he had two teammates injured.
Because if he wins this title, we're going to be all on his nutsack about how awesome he is and all of that.
We cheekily and folksy remember Jordan pushing off against Brian Russell, but no one cares. It doesn't hurt his legacy.
Oh, no. Like, listen, everybody calls it the shot, but there's a little asterisk there because also in quotes it's the push.
Funny. It's all funny to us. We laugh about it, but it doesn't hurt his legacy at all. But
well, of course,
again,
Go. Sorry, finish that one.
Barkley said all this, that Draymond had a moral obligation to punch him back. Sure. I actually agree with that. And for anyone who follows boxing, one of the biggest rules in boxing, besides protect yourself at all times, if someone gives you a low blow, you hit him with a low blow back. So the rules aren't designed to let Draymond slip through the cracks here, though if he wasn't in trouble, on the brink of trouble to begin with, he wouldn't have got suspended a game. I don't like that rule, by the way, that they have these flagrants and all that. But I do agree with Barkley here. He should have had the right to hit back. However, he was in a bad position to do that because of his playoff track record.
Right, but I don't think it warrants a suspension only because, listen, like baseball, the reference you brought up earlier, the players police it back. And if he's going to go ahead and do a disrespectful move, which I don't find it to be that disrespectful, but there's a going rate saying that is.
Technicals and flagrants on him. That was the case. And he flailed at him. He hit him in the groin and flailed at him after that, too. And you want to talk about a little pussy. After LeBron got up and walked away, he flailed at him with like a limp arm, limp wrist. So they're both kind of puss in the situation.
Again, but ultimately, smart move. I agree 100% there. Draymond wasn't there. But of course, Bogut got hurt. So what happened? The Cavs set the NBA Finals record for unassisted field goals in a game. That's what's going to happen when you don't have your two big defenders there. So yes, brilliant. Right. Got them a win.
And maybe, look, this is the thing, too, with this series, coming back to sort of the number side of it. Remember, in Game 4, when Draymond, and LeBron had that sort of step over, what wasn't talked about and what was actually the big storyline from that game is the Warriors hit 17 triples and only 16 two-pointers. They hit more threes than they did twos. Right. So it's a case of the NBA itself and the play of that game, which is, I think, why LeBron was so frustrated. I mean, and he didn't get any calls. And I think it was this escalation. He's at home. The Warriors are shooting lights out. They hit the record number of threes. LeBron can't do anything about it because even if he tries to guard one of them, there's another guard that's going to get off and get open looks and get what they want. So I think it was a culmination of, he basically couldn't pick on one of the Splash Brothers. So I think he went after Draymond because he knew at least he'd get a reaction out of him because those other two guys are as cool as ice. They're not going to do anything, which is why I think it was so fascinating when afterwards, Klay Thompson come out and had some words for LeBron and sort of had some nice advice for him. And, it's a case of, these two teams may actually now develop a genuine dislike for each other. And I think that ultimately is healthy for the NBA.
That's the old NBA, baby.
Now we get Game 6 in Cleveland where the incident happened. Draymond's back on the floor, and all eyes are going to be on what Draymond and LeBron not only say to each other, but who goes after each other, whether there's any elbows, whether there's any escalation. And again, the best way for both of these guys to basically influence the outcome is to help their team win. And at this point, anything goes. I mean, nothing's off the table anymore.
Right. That's why I'm saying Golden State's going to come in there so pissed, and I think they wrap it up. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have the fourth quarter. You listen to the Full Court Report. Back after this.
Rio 2016, August 5 to 21. Exclusive on TV5, your Philippine Olympic Network.
All right, welcome back to the Full Court Report. Fourth quarter belongs to Chris here in New York, and 12 minutes are on the clock. Let's go ahead and discuss what you're bringing to the table, sir. What's up?
Great. Well, guys, as we wrap up our first season here, and it's been a great, fun one, I just want to talk about things that we're looking most forward to this coming up off season. So I'll start. For me, in the past year, I've really gotten behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, how they're building their team. Karl Anthony Towns has quickly become my favorite player in the league. I think I've expressed my man love for him a bunch of times this season. And
have you sent him flowers yet, Chris? Because I'm worried that you're going to send him a dozen long-stem roses or something. Your crush seems
very protective over him
scary.
when it comes to the Kristaps. Yeah, no, I've been very protective over him, like he's a little beautiful flower. But from the Kristaps Porzingis talk, I just want to shelter him and not let all that noise come near him because he's obviously the superior player. But no, that team. It reminds me of OKC 6-7 years ago, and they're really building from the ground up. Wiggins, Towns, now Thibodeau. They have the number 5 draft pick, and now there's word that they're interested. Thibodeau reuniting with Jimmy Butler. They're interested in trading for Jimmy Butler, whether they can pull that off or not. They do, again, have the number 5 pick as leverage. I don't know what it would take. I don't know if the Bulls would even think about doing that. The Bulls had a very, very interesting and awkward season this past year. They may be looking to make, major changes to really change things up, or, stick with what they got. So I'm not really sure where they're going to go in that direction, if they're going to stick with that number 5 draft pick, but I'm really excited to see what this team is going to put out on the court game 1 of the NBA season next year.
Yeah, with the new coach and everything like that. That's going to be awesome. Yep.
Yeah, the Wolves, look, bright future. They still seem like they're 2 years away, though, from, building a legit contender, especially with how many sort of great teams we have and how many deep teams we have out west. But, I think Chicago has sort of a real reality check of an offseason ahead of them. I mean, Jimmy Butler has been outspoken throughout the entire campaign. Joakim Noah and Gasol are both sort of up for free agency. The Derrick Rose sort of, let's get him back to being the man isn't working. The first year with the collegiate coach in that sort of head coaching role didn't kind of, show the fruit that they wanted, unlike sort of Billy Donovan, obviously in OKC. So Hoiberg has to sort of figure out what he's going to do with this team. So again, I think Chicago is heading in the wrong direction. They missed the playoffs, due to injuries, sure, but I just don't I think they do need to overhaul or at least sort of consider some major moves, because if they go back into the season with the same lineup they had, I just don't see how they're going to fix all of the ongoing and existing problems that they have. So, trading Jimmy Butler seems like it's a dangerous move, but I think it's a gamble that might actually help them in the long term, because that 5th pick, could mean a whole lot of things, especially if you can get some sort of extra, salary cap breathing room, or if they sort of can't re-sign one of their bigs, we're going to give them sort of a little bit more flexibility and go after someone else. I mean, the days of Chicago contending for the title with Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, and Pau Gasol, I think they're done. I think Chicago can't win the East with the team that they've got. So that's when you have to start to entertain who you want to move, or at least what your options are, because they just don't seem like they're going to have the ability to be an elite team next season. So I would at least consider Minnesota's offer.
There's a lot of storylines that I am kind of interested into finding out what's going to happen here. Kind of just off the bat, San Antonio Spurs, such a dominant regular season team. But again, we talked about this in the past. When does that window close for them? And then is there a transition period before it reopens, even though they've got, Kawhi Leonard there and LaMarcus Aldridge? Will they be the Chicago Bulls? We're just talking about the Bulls. Will they be them next year where on paper, absolutely, they're going to contend, and all of a sudden they bomb for a year because they're in some kind of transition phase? Who knows? Celtics, even the 76ers, what kind of squad are they going to look like coming into next season? Are they going to be as awful, or finally they're going to, at least make minor improvements? There are a lot of things going on outside of just, say, Kevin Durant and the free agency. There are other big names there.
Though, Mo, because
Horford,
if you look at if you look at San Antonio specifically, I think, with Mike Conley and Durant both being free agents, those are both players that San Antonio is going to go after. So if they get one of those two, what it does is it injects new life into that team. They were in any other year a record-setting team, so they still have that formidable home court advantage. And again, they're in the sweepstakes for both those guys. So it's not like San Antonio has to sort of dismantle what they have. They had a really underwhelming postseason when you sort of look at it objectively, but that doesn't mean that they're not also one player away from winning another title. That's Popovich's system. So Duncan's probably done in terms of being an effective and ongoing sort of contributor. And Tony Parker and Manu are going to regress quite quickly, I think, if they haven't already. So again, I think if they can go ahead and steal Conley, or if they can somehow, get Durant to come and sign with them, we don't know how this summer's going to play out. But I think San Antonio, if nothing else, has put themselves in a great position to say, if we can't get anyone else, we'll bring back the guys we've got because we're still going to win 60 games with them. So I would like to have San Antonio's problem right now, even though they had an underwhelming postseason. And why not? Why not just ride it out, see what happens with the Warriors and the Thunder, and then decide, because Kawhi Leonard's not going anywhere, and I guess LaMarcus is going to be there too. So they've got some pretty interesting and likable sort of guys for them to unite with other talents. So I think San Antonio could be the sleeper team of the offseason. We never thought they were going to get Aldridge, and now look at them. So, keep your eye on Popovich, man. He's a crafty guy, man. Even Pat Riley, man. I don't trust Popovich or Pat Riley any as far as I can see them. those guys, man, shady guys.
Here's the thing. I hate when super teams are formed. It kind of pisses me off. But boy, if there's a way, and because I don't find them to be super team. Like, I think they're again.
They won 73 games.
They're as a team. When I say super team, let me fucking finish. When I say super team, I'm the one's talking about. I'm talking about the one LeBron makes. With these superstars. As you said earlier in this episode, this is a homegrown super team. It's different. I said if Kevin Durant ends up going to the Golden State Warriors, I'm going to be pissed off. Because that's now becomes a super team, not a homegrown one.
Kevin Durant goes to the Warriors.
I'm sorry? No, I would be upset. Yeah, I would be upset. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, really? I like the Warriors because I like Steph. Right? I like the Warriors. I like Steph. If KD goes there, I'm going to be thoroughly pissed. I probably wouldn't even support that team anymore.
No.
Wow, that's huge, Mo.
Wow. Because they're not my favorite team. No, if they were the Sonics, if they were the Sonics, it's different. But again, my love for the Warriors is because I love Steph. As if if Pau Gasol went there, oh my God, I'd be jizzing in my pants because I'm more drawn to these players because my Sonics are no longer there. However, that being said.
Wait a minute. It's a team league. It's not a players league.
It is a team league. No, absolutely. It's a team league, and I'm not here chasing superstars. When is Pau Gasol considered? When's the last time he was considered a superstar? I like these people for the character individuals that they are. Steph just happens to be the MVP, sweet. But I like them for the guy that he is and for the father that he is and all that good stuff. Anyway, that being said, if KD ends up in San Antonio, I think he'd look great there, and that would be such a great thing. I think we all know he's going to end up re-signing with OKC. But if there's a team that I would love to see him in,
like
I would love to see him in San
Conley
Antonio.
is the biggest free agent of this market.
Sure.
Is how it's going to turn out. Now, Mo, it's funny that you brought up players that you love, like your man crushes. Another team that I'm interested to see how they're going to pan out next year, and they had good expectations coming into this year. They didn't fulfill it. Was the Milwaukee Bucks? They just signed Jason Kidd to a 3-year extension for $18 million as their head coach, and your boy Giannis, maybe your new man crush. I'm really interested to see what he can do next year as playing a lot of point guard. I'm excited for what this team's able to accomplish.
How is Steph Curry going to guard Giannis at point guard, or Kyrie Irving for that matter? Good luck when the Bucks travel to Cleveland. I want to see that matchup. I mean, a 6'11" point guard, again, remember when everyone freaked out when Magic started playing point guard at 6'9"? Penny was a real nightmare at 6'7". Yep. Jalen Rose to a lesser extent. I mean, when the Bulls had their 6'6" backcourt in Harper and Jordan, it's just one of these things that guards at that size just become, for just crazy.
This is a giant.
Yeah, it's wow. Like
I think we're mixing the traditional.
I really just want to see it.
I think the whole Giannis playing point guard was more for shock value, for more quote value. I think that it's not going to be Giannis versus Kyrie, when they kind of show up there with the traditional, right? So it's more for shock value. That it's probably going to be like what Draymond's doing right now, really facilitating the offense from the power forward position.
Simmons, though. Ben Simmons,
right, yeah, no. I think that has more legs than say Giannis being a traditional point guard. But I'd also like to see kind of the growth of D'Angelo Russell. I gave him a hard time early in the season. I even called him Anthony Bennett. Right, nice call. But I'd like to see the development of Russell and see how much. That's another tall point guard. Even though he's no Giannis, but another tall point guard. I want to see how he develops.
It is nuts.
Absolutely.
But, I was going to say, you just got to be careful with the Cats of the world, the Durants of the world. All these guys, right, Chris? They're just, got to keep an eye on these talents and how they evolve and how they play. But here's my thing. Danny Ainge once got fined $25,000, whatever the case was, for basically talking to Durant's mom at length at a number of sort of, NBA Summer League events. And, he basically, before Durant had signed, there was a whole number of situations. And the Celtics were in the running, of course, to get that second pick when Seattle took him. So I think the Celtics might be more in play for Durant than sort of, people are acknowledging, just because, Ainge has had a relationship with his family going back to when Durant was in Texas. So, again, we talked about San Antonio and Houston's now apparently being taken off the table with Durant. So it will be interesting to see, which cities he visits, which offers he entertains, whether him and his agent try to sort of swing deals to get additional help in there.
Do you have a front runner team, though, outside of the Thunder, in your opinion, for a guy that covers Durant as kind of as focused as you are on this one player?
Look, I think the pathways to the championship round are as obvious to him as they are to all of us. Go sign in Miami, go sign in Boston, go sign in San Antonio. If you want to stay out west, the Thunder give you the best shot at getting back to the finals. But if you want to actually get to the finals, and that's all that is kind of governing your decision-making, you should go east. That's going to give you the best chance. You play the percentages in that way. But the decision isn't about money. So, if it's not about
he's going to
money,
get paid wherever.
He's going to get
it doesn't
paid.
matter. I mean, the money's irrelevant, especially when the cap spikes and all the rest of it. So
you have a front runner team outside of OKC. Who's the front runner team for you? Is it Boston or is it Miami?
Man, honestly, my reading is as good as anyone's. I don't have any intel on this, Mo. I wish I did. I can put feelers out, but everyone's going to sort of feed me the same crap. Sources say this, that, and the third. So for me, it's just about, I think he stays in Oklahoma City, but that doesn't mean that he's not going into these discussions. Right, with an open mind. And, I would be equally surprised if he did what LeBron did and changed teams. Not Cleveland style, but when he first went to Miami, if he holds a press conference and announces he's going to go to San Antonio or Boston, whatever, it would be surprising. But at the same time, part of me thinks maybe a sea change is just a good thing. Everyone in life needs a sort of different locale, even though his personality is suited to Oklahoma City, and him and Russ and Serge and those guys really do have a legit chance at winning the title next year because they know how close they came this year. So fascinating offseason ahead of us, no matter how it plays
Absolutely.
out.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for us tonight. We will see you. We're coming back after Game 6, right? That's, I think, our next episode.
We are. So
there is a Game 6, Mo. The podcast lives to see another day.
Hell yeah. In fact, you know what? I say that Golden State's going to go in there pissed off and win. I take it back. They're going to go ahead and lose so we can have an episode after that. Take it all the way, man.
Yeah, look, honestly, Warriors aside, your fandom for them or whatever, your affections for them, don't you want a Game 7? Isn't a Game 7?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. No, totally. Again, it's not like if, say, I don't know, Chris rooting for the Mets or maybe you rooting for, another team over there where you just want to end it because you want that ring, you want that championship. I'm happy with great basketball, a long, extended playoffs, have our show live another episode, all of that stuff. I'm in for a Game 7.
Plus, win on your home court, right, Mo? Win on your home court.
Yeah.
How great would that be?
Oh, man, it's such a big difference. Such a big difference when you see them kind of cheering on with the crowd and not the crowd giving them a stink eye while they go ahead and just be happy for themselves. All right, but anyway, yeah, so let's wrap it up. We should have Gino back with us on Thursday night for those who have missed him. In the meantime, let's go around the room, find a word, little plug, and let's get out of here. Let's start with you, Brad, in Australia.
Yeah, sorry guys, I've been really slack with Twitter. It's at Backpack Baller. I promise once I've finished watching this Voltron series that I'll get back on Twitter. Nice. But sorry, until Voltron's been watched, Twitter's secondary in my mind.
Favorite lion, quick, before you get out of here. Which one?
Let's go the temperamental one, Red.
Red? Nice. Chris, you will be side by side with me come Thursday. Finally, I'm going to get a chance to meet you in person. It's going to be a treat. Where can people find you?
Yes, at Not Bill Walton, at Savage Sarcasm, at Not Chuck Barkley, at Emo Chris Bosh. As we're wrapping up the season here, I'm going to throw them all out there. And I will be live in Vegas on Thursday night. I can't wait for that. Me and a little man love with Mo Twister.
That's right. You can also get me on Twitter, Instagram at DJ Mo Twister. Thanks for listening to our show tonight. Let's continue to enjoy these NBA Finals, and we'll see you guys on Thursday. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.